I woke up in a stranger's body, choking on the scent of $1,000 cologne, while my own reflection smirked back from the penthouse mirror like a thief who'd hit the jackpot. My family had buried me alive in that nobody's shell, calling it mercy for the screw-up I never was. But now I held their dirty little secret in these manicured hands, and God help them, I was going to make them pay. When I slipped into the CEO's boardroom wearing his skin, the first words out of my mouth were, "Gentlemen, let's discuss the accident that never happened," and the room went dead silent, because they all knew Iris was back, and hell had a new address. The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Park Avenue penthouse like it was trying to break in, just like I had 2 nights ago. I wasn't Iris anymore, not the Iris who'd grown up in a sagging shotgun house in Queens, dodging my old man's whiskey bottles and my mom's endless lectures about making something of myself. No, that girl was gone, stuffed into a body that didn't fit, left to rot in a psych ward while this 6'2" Wall Street shark named Victor Hale paraded around in my skin like he'd won the goddamn lottery. I flexed my new fingers, feeling the unfamiliar strength in them, the veins like steel cables under the skin. It was December in New York, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and stays there. But up here on the 52nd floor, with the heat cranked and a decanter of single malt scotch sweating on the mahogany desk, I felt nothing but fire. It started 6 months ago, back when I was still me. Iris Callahan, 28, barista by day, aspiring coder by night, scraping by on tips and ramen in a walk-up that smelled like curry from the neighbors below. I'd landed a gig interning at Hale Tech, Victor's baby, a Silicon Valley transplant sucking up venture capital in the Big Apple for revolutionary neural interfaces. Sounded like sci-fi bullshit, but the paycheck covered rent, and the free coffee didn't hurt. Victor was the golden boy, Forbes 30 under 30, TED Talk darling, the guy who promised to bridge minds and machines while schmoozing investors at galas I could only dream of crashing. He had that predatory charm, sharp jaw, eyes like polished obsidian, always in bespoke suits that screamed old money. I thought he saw potential in me, the way he'd linger by my desk, tossing me scraps of code to debug, calling me the fresh set of eyes this place needs. Fresh eyes.
Yeah, right. It was all a setup.
One night, after too many late hours and a bottle of cheap Merlot we'd split in the server room, he pitched it, the prototype. Neural sync, he called it. Not just uploading thoughts, swapping them. Imagine executives trading perspectives for a day. Empathy training on steroids. I laughed it off, but he was dead serious, his breath hot against my ear as he traced the implant scar on my temple, the one I'd gotten for the trial run he'd sweet-talked me into. You're perfect, Iris. No family ties. No baggage. Just pure potential. I should have run then. But ambition's a hell of a drug. And he dangled stock options like candy. The next morning, I woke up screaming in a body that wasn't mine. The swap wasn't clean. There was vertigo, a scream echoing in my skull that wasn't mine, and then nothing. When the fog lifted, I was staring at my own face, but it was Victor's mind behind those hazel eyes. I stumbled out of the lab, puking in the alley behind the building, while the real Victor, trapped in this hulking frame, clawed at the restraints they'd slapped on me. Delusional episode, the docs called it when they hauled me away to Bellevue. Gaslighting at its finest, my family swooped in like vultures.
Mom,
with her peroxide hair and chain-smoking guilt trips, signed the papers. Iris always was unstable.
Poor thing.
After the accident, Dad just nodded. Eyes on the floor. Pocketing the consulting fee Victor's lawyers slipped him for keeping quiet. What accident? The one where Victor's prototype car, autonomous, of course, plowed into a pedestrian, killing a single mom on her way home from the night shift. He'd framed me, hacked the logs to show I'd been behind the wheel during the test drive. Manslaughter pinned on the expendable in turn. My prints on the dash. My DNA in the seatbelt.
Clean.
But they didn't count on the back door. Victor's arrogance, leaving a kill switch in the code. A fail-safe for if things went south. I'd found it weeks ago, buried in the neural net. And when he locked me away, I activated it from the ward's rec room computer. One jolt, and we flipped back.
Just like that.
Iris in Victor's body. Victor flailing in mine. The world none the wiser. The docs upped my meds, his meds now, and shipped Iris off to a long-term facility upstate.
Poetic.
Really? My family visited once, twice, then ghosted. She's better off, Mom said over the phone to her bridge club. Her voice tinny through the penthouse speakers. Always the black sheep. This Victor hails a saint for covering the bills.
Saint.
I poured another scotch, the burn steadying my nerves. The city sprawled below like a glittering trap, taxis crawling like ants, the Hudson a black ribbon under the bridges. I had his life now, the corner office at Hailtech, the Rolodex of power players, the black Amex that made doormen snap to attention. But it came with ghosts. His ghosts. Emails from a wife he'd gaslit into divorce. Kids who called sporadically from boarding schools in Connecticut, begging for tuition hikes. And the secret, the real one, the one that made my stomach twist. Victor hadn't just framed me for the hidden run. He'd done it before.
3 times.
Homeless vets. Undocumented workers. Nobodies whose deaths barely made the papers. Collateral for progress, he'd scribbled in his encrypted journal, which I'd cracked on night 1. Each swap was a trial run. Each victim a vessel to test the tech before dumping the soul back into oblivion. But me? I was the upgrade. The one he'd keep. Until the board meeting where he'd unveil the breakthrough and cash out. Revenge wasn't a plan, it was oxygen. I started small. Hacked my personal assistant's calendar, inserting reminders about the accidents. Anonymous tips to the Times op-ed page. Is Hailtech's miracle built on graves? Nothing stuck, but it rattled the cage. Then the family. I called Mom from a burner, voice modulated to sound like a social worker. MS. Callahan, your daughter's condition has deteriorated. She claims Victor Hale stole her identity. Silence. Then a sputter. That's nonsense. Iris is resting. Resting. I hung up, tasting bile. Dad was easier. His gambling debts were public record, courtesy of a quick DMV pull. A wire transfer from Victor's slush fund, marked hush money installment. He took it without a word. The first real move came a week in. The board meeting at the Four Seasons. Crystal chandeliers dripping like stalactites over linen-draped tables. I strode in wearing Victor's Seville Row armor, his Patek Philippe ticking on my wrist like a bomb. The suits, old money wasps from Connecticut, tech bros from the valley nodded, expecting the usual spiel on quarterly projections. Instead, I dimmed the lights, cued the projector. Not spreadsheets. Dash cam footage. Grainy but damning, the pedestrian crumpling under the Hailtech prototype's grill. My face, Victor's now, frozen in the driver's seat. Gasps rippled through the room. Victor. What the hell? One codger barked, his jowls quivering. Gentlemen, I said, channeling every episode of Succession I'd binged in that cramped Queen's apartment. This isn't a glitch. This is the cost of innovation. And I've been carrying it for you. I laid it out, the frames, the swaps, the bodies. Not all of it, save the sci-fi for later, but enough to make them sweat. Accusations flew. Insider trading. Fiduciary breach. One venture capitalist, a hedge fund vampire named Langford, bolted for the door, phone in hand. I blocked him. Victor's height and unfair advantage. Call your lawyers.
Lang.
But remember, your portfolio's wired to Hailtech. Pull out, and you tank with us. It was a bluff. Half-baked. But the fear stuck. By dessert, they'd voted unanimously. Emergency audit. My leadership intact. Victor Hale, savior or snake, the headlines would decide. That night, back in the penthouse, I stripped down, tracing the implant scar on this new temple. It itched, a reminder that the swap wasn't permanent. The back door had a timer, 48 hours before equilibrium snapped us back unless I dosed the stabilizer. Victor's stash was in the safe, vials of clear serum, labeled Eternal Sync. One shot, and I'd keep this body forever. But forever as him? The thought curdled.
No.
I'd drag them all down first, family.
Bored.
The whole rotten empire. Mom's voice echoed from the voicemail I'd intercepted. Victor. Honey. If Iris ever. You know. Wakes up funny. Just say the word. We're family now.
Family.
The word tasted like ash. I poured a third scotch, the ice clinking like handcuffs. The city hummed below, oblivious. But not for long. Phase 2, the ex-wife. Elena Hale, holed up in a Tribeca loft, nursing grudges and rows. She'd filed for divorce citing irreconcilable cruelties, but the prenup gagged her. I showed up unannounced. Bouquet of lilies, her favorite, per the browser history in hand. Elena, I said, voice pitch low. Victor's timbre a velvet noose. We need to talk about the girl in Queens. Her eyes widened, the door slamming in my face. But not before I slipped the USB through the mail slot. Copies of the journal. The accident reports. Her fingerprints all over the cover-up. She called back at dawn. Voice raw. You bastard. If this gets out, you're done. I smiled into the phone. Rain pattering like applause. That's the idea, darling. But first,
testify.
For Iris. A pause. Then a bitter laugh. Iris? That mousy intern you screwed over?
Fine.
But I want half. Half of nothing. I thought. Greed was the great equalizer. By noon, her lawyer was emailing discovery requests to the DA's office. The board caught wind by happy hour. Shares dipping like a bad acid trip. Victor's, my phone blew up. Panicked VCs. Furious regulators. I let it ring, watching from the balcony as cop cars swarmed the avenues below. Somewhere upstate, in my old body, Victor was probably ranting to orderlies about the imposter in his life. Let him. The real imposter was just getting started. The fallout hit like a nor'easter, fast, furious, and freezing everyone in place. Hailtech's stock cratered 40% overnight. The Street Journal running a splash. Hailtech heist. CEO's dark secrets exposed. They painted Victor as a Bond villain, me as the whistleblower hero. But I knew the truth. This was just the appetizer. I spent the day in damage control, schmoozing analysts over PowerPoint purgatory, promising full transparency while shredding the real files in the executive washroom. The implant throbbed under my scalp. A migraine from hell. Countdown ticking, 24 hours till snapback. I needed that serum. But dosing meant committing to this lie, this life. Instead, I drove upstate, the Bentley eating miles like candy, rain-smeared windshield wipers thumping a dirge. The facility was a gray slab off I-87, chain-link fences topped with razor wire, the kind of place that swallowed people whole. I flashed Victor's ID, laminated lies, and the nurse didn't blink. Your sister's having a good day.
Mr.
Hail.
Sister.
The irony burned. They led me to the rec room. Fluorescent buzz and the stench of institutional cleaner. There I was, Iris's body, gaunt and wild-eyed, rocking in a plastic chair, muttering to a half-finished puzzle. Victor's soul puppeteering my flesh, clumsy, unpracticed. He looked up, and for a split second, our eyes locked, mine in his face, his in mine. Recognition hit like a cattle prod. You, he hissed, voice a ragged whisper that used to be my alto. He lunged, but the orderlies were on him, burly guys in scrubs pinning his arms. Imposter. That's not me. I leaned in, close enough to smell the bleach on his skin, my skin. Sure. Iris. The doctors say you're improving. His face twisted, veins bulging in my old neck. Give it back. You bitch. I built this. You are nothing, a queen's rat with delusions. I smiled, Victor's perfect teeth gleaming. Delusions? Like the ones that killed Maria Lopez? Or Jamal Reed? Funny how the DA's circling now, digging up your trials. Panic flickered in those hazel eyes. You can't prove shit. No witnesses. No traces. I slipped a vial from my pocket, placebo saline, swiped from the nurse's station, and pressed it to his lips. Drink up, sweetheart. For old time's sake, he thrashed, but swallowed enough to choke. It wouldn't swap us, but the drink I'd laced it with would by time. As he slumped, I whispered, "Tell Mom hi when she visits."
Oh.
Wait, she stopped after the check cleared. The orderlies dragged him away. And I drove back to the city with the radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run, a twisted anthem. The serum waited at home, but so did the next play, the family reunion. They'd begged for a meeting after the Forbes piece dropped. Ironic.
That.
Victor Hale, CEO of the Year. Visionary or victim? The mag had run it pre-scandal. A puff piece on his meteoric rise, complete with a glossy shot of him, me now, in a power pose against the skyline. My phone pinged with Mom's text, "Iris's benefactor. We must thank you properly." Dinner at Gallagher's? Dad's buying. Buying with my blood money. I replied in character. Delighted. 7 p.m. sharp. Gallagher's was old-school steakhouse glamour. Dark wood panels and waiters in bow ties. The kind of joint where deals got done over dry-aged ribeyes. I arrived early, staking out a booth in the back. Nursing a Negroni, Victor's drink of choice. Bitter as his soul. They shuffled in like extras from a Scorsese flick. Mom in a too-tight sheath dress. Faux pearls straining. Dad in his one good blazer. Reeking of Old Spice and regret. "Victor, you look taller," Mom gushed, air kissing my cheek. Dad pumped my hand, Grip limp. Appreciate you coming, son. After the news, we ordered fillets all around, creamed spinach on the side, and they dove in, forks scraping like accusations. Iris was always headstrong, Mom said, dabbing her lips. But you? A saint. Covering the medical, the therapy. We couldn't have done it without you. Therapy. For the accident I'd taken the fall for. The one that should have been Victor's DUI bust. I sipped my drink, letting the gin bloom. Tell me about her.
Then.
Iris. What was she like before? Dad shifted, eyes on his plate. Bright kid. Tech whiz. But trouble followed, bad crowd. That car thing. We told the cops it was her behind the wheel.
Lie.
I'd been home, debugging code for Victor, while he joyrode the prototype, buzzed on Patron. Mom chimed in. She idolized you. Victor. Said you were changing the world. Idolized. The word snapped something. I leaned forward, voice dropping to a growl. Enough bullshit. You sold her out for a payout. Signed the commitment papers without a second look. Their faces blanched. Mom's fork clattered.
What? No.
I slid the photos across the table, grainy prints from the security cams. Victor fleeing the hit-and-run scene. My alibi time-stamped on his server logs. This is what you buried. For 30 pieces of silver. Dad's jowls trembled. We had debts.
Victor.
The house. The loans. Iris understood. Understood? I laughed. A bark that turned heads from the bar. She understood all right. That's why she's coming for you. Mom crossed herself, lapsed Catholic reflex, whispering, God. Iris?
She's
locked up. I stood, tossing a stack of hundreds on the table. More than the meal. Less than their souls. Not anymore. Check your emails. The DA's got your statements. Your signatures. Obstruction of justice carries 5 to 10. I walked out into the drizzle. Their pleas chasing me like ghosts. Victor.
Wait.
We can explain. Back at the penthouse, Elena was waiting uninvited, but not unexpected. She paced the living room, wine glass in hand from my cellar, her red hair a wildfire in the lamplight. You son of a bitch, she spat, hurling the glass. It shattered against the wall, Merlot rivulets like blood trails. Dragging me into this? My kids. I caught her wrist mid-swing. Victor's strength effortless. Your kids are fine. Elena. Boarding school shields. But Victor? He used you too, faked the abuse claims to dodge alimony. She yanked free, eyes blazing. I know. That's why I'm here. The journal? It's got my notes too. I covered for him once, after the first trial. Thought it was R&D. Then the bodies piled up. Allies.
Then.
Or opportunists. Testify, I said, pouring us both a refill. Full immunity if you flip first. We talked till midnight. Piecing the puzzle. Victor's network. The dirty cops on payroll. The investors who'd looked the other way for stock tips. The serum vial glinted on the desk. Timer beeping softly, 6 hours left. Elena eyed it. That's the swap juice. Isn't it? The one that fried your brain. My brain. Close enough. Iris isn't fried. She's pissed. Her laugh was hollow. You're not Victor.
Who the hell are you? Truth time.
Half of it, the intern, the frame, the backdoor hack. She didn't flinch. Karma's a bitch. Dose it.
Keep the body.
Burn him.
Tempting.
But revenge wasn't possession. It was demolition. Dawn broke gray. The city stirring like a hangover. The board called an emergency session virtual. Cowards, demanding my resignation. I logged in from the Bentley.
En route to the lab. Resign?
Gentlemen, I'm just getting started. I uploaded the full dossier. Swaps documented. Victims named. Victor's digital fingerprints everywhere. Shares nosedived to pennies. Langford's voice cracked over the feed. You're ruining us. No, I said, merging onto the FDR. Victor's ruining you. And I'm the cleanup crew. By the time I hit the Holland Tunnel, the feds were en route, tip from Elena's lawyer. The lab was a ghost town. Techs fleeing like rats. Servers humming their last. I jimmied the prototype chamber. The neural rig humming like a hive. Victor's contingency. A master reset. Souls unmoored forever if triggered.
Perfect.
But first, the family. A quick call to the facility. Release Iris Callahan. Immediate discharge. My authorization. The nurse hesitated. She's catatonic. Sir. Check again. The trink had worn off. He be raging. But mobile. Send a car. Black SUV. Tinted. Phase 3 locked. The controversial call? Arming him. A Glock from Victor's nightstand safe. Unregistered. Slipped into the glove box. Not to kill, yet but to force the confrontation. Morally gray? Hell. It was obsidian. But they'd earned it. Betrayal's blade cuts both ways. The lab reeked of ozone and regret. Banks of servers blinking like dying fireflies under the emergency lights. I patched into the mainframe. Fingers flying over the keyboard, my old code. Iris's muscle memory in Victor's hands. The reset sequence loaded. One command. And the neural net would purge every swap log. Every soul echo. But not yet. I needed bait. The SUV pulled up outside. Gravel crunching. And there he was, my body. Disheveled in a hospital Johnny. Orderlies flanking like reluctant bouncers. Mr. Hale, one said.
She's
agitated. Understatement. Victor and Iris lunged at the glass doors. Fists pounding. Let me in. You freak. This ends now. I buzzed them through. The chamber door hissing open like a sarcophagus lid. He barreled in. Wild-eyed. Snatching the Glock from the console where I'd left it. Bait taken. You think you're clever? He snarled. My old voice cracking with his rage. Hacking my life? My company. He waved the gun. Unsteady. But the barrel found his chest. The orderlies backed off. Hands up. I'd greased them with cash. Sit, I said, gesturing to the neural chair. Its electrodes dangling like party streamers from hell. He laughed. A manic trill. Sit, I'll blow your borrowed brains out and take it back. But his eyes darted to the screens, the purging code frozen mid-run. Leverage. Pull the trigger, Vic. And the feds get the uncut files. Your donors. Your cops. Elena's testimony. Even the Callahans, yeah? I looped in Mommy Dearest. She's singing to the DA as we speak. His face, my face, crumpled. Gun dipping. The Callahans? Those trailer trash leeches? They were supposed to keep you buried. Buried. The word ignited it. I lunged, tackling him into the chair. Victor's bulk pinning my old frame. The gun skittered across the floor. They sold me,
Vic.
for your scraps. Sign me away like yesterday's news. He bucked, nails raking this unfamiliar skin. You are nothing, a glitch. I gave you purpose, taking the fall for progress.
Progress.
I strapped him down, electrodes snapping into place on temples that used to be mine. The console beeped, sync initiating. Not a full swap, this was extraction. Ripping his essence clean. Purpose? You stole my life. My face. Let them lock me away while you played king. His eyes widened as the hum built, blue arcs dancing. Wait, Iris. Please. We can split it. The tech. The money. Be gods.
Gods.
The hubris. I hit enter. The chair convulsing. His screams echoing in stereo. My voice. His pain. The screens flooded, memories unspooling. Not mine. Victor's childhood in gated Hamptons. Daddy's mergers and mistresses. The first kill. A vagrant for data calibration. Elena's tears as he forged the abuse logs. And deeper, the secret. The twist that gutted me. It wasn't just frames. The accidents? Victor's fault. Sure. But the tech, the swaps, weren't his invention. Stolen. From me. Iris Callahan. The mousy in turn had coded the neural net in secret, pitching it anonymously to seed funders before Victor poached it. He traced the IP to my queen's IP, seduced the prototype out of me, then flipped the script. The car crash test was payback for my theft, a warning to back off. But when the pedestrian died, he saw opportunity, swap me in as the patsy, claim the glory. My family knew. Mom's bridge club gossip, our Iris, always tinkering. But Victor? He made it real. They'd taken his hush money to bury my claim, calling me the unstable one. Betrayal squared. A knife in the gut. The extraction peaked. Victor's body arching, then slumping limp. Iris's shell, empty now. His soul digitized. A ghost file on the drive. I yanked the cord. Alarms wailing. The feds would trace it soon. Sirens wailed distant. Controversial? Hell yes, erasing a man. Even a monster. But justice in America isn't clean. It's corporate. It's connected. I dosed the serum. Needle biting Victor's arm. Sealing the seal. This body was mine now. Legally. Literally. The Glock lay there. Tempting. One bullet to the empty husk. Stage in suicide. Tormented CEO ends it amid scandal. Clean exit for Iris 2.0. But the twist lingered.
Sour.
Was I the villain? Stealing his empire. His form. Doling out vigilante code? The family burst in then Mom and Dad. Summoned by my earlier invitation. Faces ashen. Flanked by a lawyer in a cheap suit. Victor. Mom wailed. Spotting the chair. What happened? I turned, gun in hand. Victor's voice steady. Iris happened. Your daughter. The one you erased. Dad's eyes bulged. Kiddo? That you. I leveled the barrel. In the flesh, his flesh. You profited off my ruin. Sign the papers. Took the cash. Mom sobbed, collapsing. We thought it was best. You were spiraling the code. The obsession. Obsession. My invention. Their betrayal. The sirens closed in. Chopper thump overhead. Decision point. Pull the trigger. End the cycle in blood. Or let the system chew them. Controversial as hell. Mercy for monsters? I lowered the gun, kicking it to Dad. Shoot me. Then. Victor Hale. The fraud. Save yourselves. He stared, trembling, then dropped it.
Coward to the end.
The feds breached. Tack vests and shouts. Hands up. I complied. Wrists cuffed behind Victor's back. Mom's wails fading as they zip-tied her too, for obstruction. Conspiracy. Elena arrived late. Kids in tow. Her testimony armoring the case. It's over, she said, eyes on the husk. For him, trial was a circus. 6 months of depositions in a federal courthouse off Foley Square. Paparazzi swarming like locusts. I played the victim, Iris. Swapped and stranded, clawing back. Experts debunked the sci-fi, calling it advanced hypnosis gone wrong. Victor's file? Deep fake delusion. But the accidents stuck, manslaughter X4. Plus fraud. My family flipped, testifying against each other for deals. Mom to 5 years. Dad community with restitution. Elena walked. Alimony quadrupled. The board scattered. Hale Tech liquidated. Assets funneled to victims' funds, my fund, anonymously. In the end, I kept the penthouse. The name Victor Hale, a ghost on the deed. Forbes recanted. From shadows to spotlight, Hale's redemption. I smiled at the byline. Sipping scotch on the balcony. Rain finally easing to mist. Happy? By tragic? The city didn't care. Hustle never stops. But late nights, staring at the mirror, I wonder, did I avenge Iris? Or become the thief? The implant scar fades, but the question itches. Pull the trigger next time? Or let karma reload? You decide.